All right, so I'm closing out my morning studies here, and I'm going to make a video about some hot takes, some quick thoughts about how the Wizard of Oz uh, demonstrates some principles of the gospel. um, so I'm talking about the movie here. I have to confess, I've never read the book. And just to note, I am wearing one of my infamous $3 T-shirts. I have not yet gone to. I buy T-shirts on clearance. I have a whole pile of stuff that I wear when I don't care what I look like, and my grandpa sweater. So this is a good test. I haven't prepared for the day yet, but this is kind of the only slice of my life where I'll have a chance to talk about this. So this will be a good test of your humility and willing to receive truth from strange places. Uh, okay, yeah, and Wizard of Oz, a strange place, right? Truth in strange places. Um, so Dorothy, um, Dorothy is just sort of living according to the song of her heart, right? She has desires and she's going to follow them. And the very first step of this journey, she ends up taking out a wicked witch, right? Through no intentional effort. And I've written a lot about this idea of desire. There are a lot of important ideas written in Through Faith about desire, and you should read that if you haven't. It's really important. One of those I won't be able to do justice to those ideas here now. But one of those ideas is that desire is heralded as considered some bad thing by a lot of people. And unfortunately, I think most Christians, they think that Christianity requires you to suppress your desires. That is absolutely false. Um, Desire is a gift from God. And we don't go wrong in desiring things. It's what we attach those desires to. That literally is wrong. It's incorrect. Um, the feelings we have in terms of desire, those all lead to God, actually, in their fullest sense. Because nothing that is good, nothing that is worth having can be found outside of the path to God and in God himself in a fullness. So anyway, it turns out that as we're following these desires, a lot of things can happen, and one place we go wrong is we're dishonest about what we learn along the way, and we ignore the evidence that God shows us in this path. He gives us powerful desires to motivate us towards doing what we would not otherwise do and searching harder than we would otherwise search and so on. But we get waylaid not by the desire, but by our own insistence to attach it to things we know it doesn't provide or won't fulfill that desire, or things we learn along the way will not fulfill that desire. And so it's kind of one of these inverse traps where the stronger your desire is, the 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 easier it is to do all the things that would make it an a disadvantage rather than an advantage, right? So, for example, if you have an immense desire for whatever, even if it's something you can't really even describe, it's just a deep feeling you have, you are way more likely to find some random rubbish thing to shove into there to silence, mute, or distract, or lie to yourself and think that it's fulfilled. All of those things will take you off the path that leads to what you actually need and want, which you won't know from the beginning. Again, check out Through Faith. There's some excellent stuff in there about this that I'm not sure you'll hear anywhere else, really. So she takes out this witch with the house, and she didn't try to do that, but it was a really good thing. And it was right first step of the path to trying to find what will fulfill this desire that she has, this emptiness. And then immediately what happens is she's met by these munchkins who herald her as a hero, but they give her this really important clue, which is follow the yellow brick road, right? I'm not going to bust out into song and dance here. Good for you. That'd be a punishment for you. But these surprisingly valuable assistants, she finds she finds very important guidance in an extremely unlikely place, right? And what they provide her is not the way, but it's how to recognize the way in the simplest form. And they point out that there is a path that's extraordinarily clear to follow, and all she has to do is just keep going along that way, right? So what's the path? The path is Jesus Christ. God puts the desire in your heart. It's like a homing signal to draw you to him. And then he gives us graciously the way, the truth, and the life. And the way is Jesus Christ, right? So he's the yellow brick road. I'm not saying that anyone intended these symbols to be as I'm explaining them. I'm just saying there's so much richness, so much information in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we can use symbols with which we're familiar to guide us past blocks in our understanding that we hit when we try to only study it explicitly, right? God is in and through all things, and he can use all things to teach about himself, and he does. If he doesn't, it's because we're blocking it. If you don't see him in all things and all people, it's because you're not allowing yourself to. He's trying to get to you any way he can. So as she goes along this path, it's very interesting because she meets people, the lion, the tin man, the scarecrow. She meets these people, and, well, they're not people, but, characters. And the interaction is such that she's not necessarily looking for help in her journey, but as she's going along her journey, she's singing to the song in her heart, quite literally in a lot of ways, but this desire that's pulling her along, and she's heeding, she's yielding to this desire that, God puts in all of us, a different level of intensity, and sometimes very different in content, these desires that draw us to him. And along the way, she's being true to this. And so being Dorothy, being a good person, she sees these people in need. And even though she's on this path, she sees that the Tin Man all rusted up, the Scarecrow getting pecked, the lion, I don't remember what his problem was, but they all need help. And it's off the path, but it's the same call. It's the same desire. It's in total overlap. And this is interesting when you think about the Good Samaritan. All these people that passed by this guy that had gotten busted up and robbed on the highway, they were all the people that should have had the greatest reasons to stop and help him. It was a priest, and the priest is like, well, it's much more important for me to get to where I'm going and do these duties, that if I did this, I'd be unclean, and there'd have to be a time of purification before I could do my job. He didn't get that this was his job. This was his job more than anything else he was going to do. It's like, me as a father, my job, I need to go to work. I need to make some money. I need to pay some bills. I need to fix the stuff that my kids are like this cyclone of destruction, breaking things all the time. But when I'm going about my business and I see one of my sons, and the Spirit says, you need to pull him aside and you need to talk to him about this or that, or, So you got to do that because that's your job, right? And this is taking an extremely rich, helpful, general principle and making it really specific. And I don't want to derail the many other benefits that you might get out of applying that to whatever situation. But you got to understand what that voice is and that homing beacon, and the way is the way. But a lot of times the way has side quests that are really important and that aren't just, they're not just optional additions. Because would Dorothy have succeeded in her main quest if she didn't have the help of the lion and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, right? And this is the interesting thing. She went to help these people, but they became her help. And that's really interesting. But they weren't doing that through altruism. I mean, I'm sure they were appreciative to Dorothy, but they wanted to get what they desired. And it turns out, this is a secret in gathering, but I won't get into it too much, but I'm just going to sow the ground here. It's about a convergence of desire and a convergence of improvement. There's a lot of convergence. It's a confluence. And this is, what does it mean to be of one mind and one heart? It doesn't mean you're the same externally. Not yet. What it means is you have the same desire. And it's not a specific desire, like I want a red Corvette or a dollhouse or something. I don't know. It's that your desire is in God. And you understand that you don't understand God yet. But and you understand that different people will understand different pieces of him better. But you converge. There's a confluence, and you all say, we have a specific idea of what we're after, but the biggest idea is that we don't know what we're after. We just know where to find it, and that's in God. And you walk and you march and you trust him more and more in every step, and you all grow from each other. And you grow into each other. There's unity. The gospel is beautiful because, well, I won't get into that. It is beautiful. We'll just leave it at that. I won't tell you why I was saying that. All right, so along the way, they have all these experiences together, and they build the team, and they have these experiences together, and it prepares them for everything that comes after. Everything with God is incremental and successive. It's what's the word? I should really know this. Mind blank. Anyway, they're right next to each other. One thing after another, no breaks, and everything is required. And that path, a lot of people get confused about this, and it's like, well, how do you explain the variation in people's experiences with God? It's a convergence, and it starts very broad, and it gets more and more narrow. And you say, like, well, didn't God say that the gate is narrow? Yeah, compared to the world, it's super narrow, right? But it's nothing in narrowness compared to when you continue on the path, right? If you look at the Star of David, it's if you look at the bottom part, it's like this. And if you look at the top part, it's like this. It's two triangles overlapping each other. And so when you start that top triangle, it's at its widest point, and it gets more and more narrow as you go. And you could use this symbol of the Star of David to explain a billion different things, but one thing it explains is your knowledge of how God is. It expands, and it expands as you expand the amount of him in you. And that's a quantity question, a quality question, and not intensity, but a conformance question, right? Quality, conformance. So anyways, how much do you know? How much have you become? So back to the Wizard of Oz, they end up along the way, they just want to get to the wizard. It turns out that what they really have to do is kill the other witch, right? And there's just challenge and conquering after challenge and conquering, and they level up the whole way. They become stronger and stronger, and they're learning and they're growing, and they're doing and they're helping, right? They're helping all these people and each other. And then they get to the wizard. They think that that's what they're after, is the wizard, and he's going to solve all their problems. And this is the interesting thing, is that in the end of the movie, the wizard says, actually, I don't have those things to give. But the good news is you've acquired what you're looking for through the quest to come here. And this is a big deal, right? Because so many people think of the gospel as, I give this insufficient price, and then I'm given all this stuff for free. And some people leave out the price part totally, and they're just like, well, I push a button and I get a treat. And that is not how it works. And even if there is some truth in how that works, the fullness of what is offered is so much greater than that. And it is that God not only promises to fulfill any desire you have. Remember, the desire is not the same as what you think will fulfill it. But that feeling, that longing, he will fulfill it. He will overflow it, in fact. Another way of putting that is there isn't a single person on this earth whose desire is so great that it matches the greatness of what God actually has to offer. We're all, I can't think of an idiom for this. We're all shooting for a lower goal than what actually is. But anyway, the good news about that is that no matter what you want and how deeply you want it, how impossible you think it is, again, separating the longing from what you think right now fulfills it, which you're wrong. We all are. God will overflow that. It's not just that he can fill it, he can overflow it. And that's why he can promise things like, all who come to me hungry and thirsting, they'll be filled. And, well, I asked him once, I said, Lord, I trust you and I know you're right and I know you don't lie, but how can that be? Because you have given me so much. And every time you give me something, I come away 10 times hungrier. It's as you answer one question, I have 10 more. You fulfill what I was looking for, I want 10 times better, right? Not out of like some weird greed or something, but because, every time he shows me that he's better than I thought, all I can do is adjust the sights, right? And say like, well, of course I want more of this. I want more of who you are. There's nothing better. It's just you're crushing the value I have in all other things because you're so much better than everything and everyone. Anyway, but he does. He will overflow it. So they end up getting to what they're shooting for along the way. It's the process. They think it's an event, and they think this wizard's the person who's going to give them what they want. And it turns out the wizard's not the person, and they got what they want along the way. And they're shown that there's still more. That's a huge topic that I'm absolutely not going to crack into, but I will say, coming back to the learning that it's a process, not an event. I don't know what our hang up is. We just try to shove the gospel, we shoehorn it into this very small box about events and labels and all these other things. It is a process. And with the wizard, the positive thing that Dorothy and her friends show is that they were willing to use that wizard for all he could give them, in the sense of looking forward to meeting him and thinking that he was going to be able to. And then that was the very way that the Lord used to, not the Lord, in the movie, the very way that they encountered the things that they needed along to get them closer to the destination they were seeking. And when we talk about ministry, especially human ministry, there's a lot of misconceptions and unwillingness to receive and unwillingness to give. And that's unfortunate. And hopefully some of the things I'll write will clear that up. But this wizard was able to do for them what they would not otherwise have, notwithstanding the fact that in particular, this wizard was kind of a fraud. And I don't want to take that too far, except to accentuate that, God can use so many things and so many people to flow what he needs to get to you. And we ought to be more hung up on what we desire and an honest reflection of whether our current path, our current models, our current understanding, our current actions the people in our life, whether all of that aligns with what we want or whether it does not. And less concerned about the perfection of the paths, the people, the everything else. Because if you're going to put the filter on, I will only receive perfect, finished truth through perfect, finished means, you may as well give up. You may as well give up, because I guarantee you, looking back, if you honestly reflect on the progress you've made as a person in your life so far, how much of that came through perfect means and perfect people? And did it yield a perfect person? No. In all cases, no way. So, this is false piety. It's just a trick, and you're being waylaid way too easily. You should definitely be able to detect and avoid this one. Anyway, now all that being said, the power of desire shouldn't make you think that whatever you presently desire, I already made the distinction about, what you think you'll find it in is probably not what you'll find it in. But the desire itself, you also have to be willing to switch that out for something better. So we really have to understand how clueless we are from the beginning. We all start at zero, and we come to this world trailing clouds of glory. We have character traits. We have various attributes about ourselves that are just the current, present, next step to a path that began way before. However, we come here at zero in many ways, and we get in a lot of trouble by thinking that we understand a lot more than we do. And one axiom that I've seen fulfilled many times, including in my own life, is if you assume that you're a fool, God will make you wise. And if you assume that you're wise, God will make you a fool. And that is very true. So anyway, these are just some quick reflections on the Wizard of Oz. So I hope that causes you to reflect on things you can change and things that you can do to get on the yellow brick road, to really listen to that desire deep within you, and to encounter the people along the way that will help you get to your goal, to serve one another, because goals converge between people. If you're with the right people, they'll converge. And to make use of the wizards, but also not make them your idol, and to develop the character traits, because that's really what this life is about, acquiring character traits and then also using them to bless others. But acquire those character traits that will yield what it is that you seek and make you the kind of person that either already has what you seek or has become worthy of it.